If you have a budget system that works perfectly for you, skip this ad. There are 3 sneaky reasons why budgets fail. The first is when we're trying to change our spending, one of the things that we need to understand is that we're redirecting money that's already going somewhere because it's gone, it's not in our bank accounts, to something else. So one of the first things that you have to do when you're changing your spending is understand your habits. Not necessarily your spending, but you need to understand, I go to the grocery store this many times, and then work on changing that habit. Now there's 2 things that get in the way of habit changes. One is habit blindness. And so this shows up when you read your statements and you're like, I went there, I did that, the kids needed this, I spent money on this, and none of it seems out of the ordinary. That's a good indication of habit blindness. The other is that we'll have different pain points. A number will trigger a second thought for us. So let's just say, for example, if you go to the grocery store and you spend less than $150, you're not gonna think too hard about it. It's just you're gonna hand your card over, you're gonna get your groceries, it's gonna be done. But if it was, say, $250, you'd be like, hold on, let me check something. This doesn't seem right. And so understanding those 2 things will really help you to change your habits as you're spending. The second reason that budgets fail in very insidious, sneaky ways is that we don't incorporate all of our resources into our financial plan. So you want to think about yourself like you have time, you have mental energy, you have physical energy, and you have emotions. Now, all of those things need to be accounted for in your spending plan. Because if, let's just say you change your spending plan to do something that's going to require a lot of time to keep up with, then you've moved the money problem into a time problem, and it makes it much harder to stick to the plan. If your budget, for example, moves a lot of effort into your mental energy category, so let's just say you're going to clip a lot of coupons, that can really cause a problem if you don't have that mental energy to invest. The same thing for emotions. If you are getting an emotional fill from some of your spending, if you're spending, even if it's unwanted and it's the thing that you want to change, gives your emotional state something, that's still going to need to be addressed for your budget to work. If those 3 things are not addressed, what's going to happen is you're going to be depending on your willpower. That's a very short-lived success. The third reason budgets often fail is because we don't take our emotions into consideration while we're making our plan. Oftentimes, our spending, our unintentional, our unaligned, our spending that we regret afterwards, actually, we were not just mindlessly spending, we were actually spending to fill an emotion. And so getting your spending plan to last in a long term actually requires some emotional awareness. No amount of willpower is going to overcome your spending issue if there's actually an emotional need being met. So I'm gonna give you a very quick example. So let's just say I go shopping, on my way home on Thursday afternoons. And maybe the trigger, that emotional trigger, is I know that my husband and kids are out late on Thursdays and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna be bored. So I'm actually getting something for that boredom as I'm shopping. So the trigger is like avoiding the boredom, going shopping, and then maybe I'm buying something, but I'm also avoiding that boredom. So when we're shifting our spending, we need to account for those things to make the plan, make sure that it's solid enough to stick. So I had a client, she was divorced, her kids were grown, they'd moved out of the house, and she was stopping at a bar a couple days a week, and she wasn't spending a ton of money. She was buying a beer, a snack. And so from a financial aspect, this doesn't make or break in you. You can afford to do this. And she says, no, it's low joy spending. We looked a little deeper, and the thing that she was doing was she was avoiding going home to being alone. The trigger for her spending was loneliness. The routine was going, and she was sitting and scrolling just at a pub, on her way home. And then the reward was both the beer, the fried meats, and the delay of going home to be alone. So we started to look at that social interaction is really what she wanted. She was getting beer and chicken wings, but she really wanted social interaction. And so in our work together, what we started to do is we started to put in other ways to have meaningful, higher quality social interaction. And then her desire to have the beer and the chicken wing totally dissipated because that was just a way for her to get what was a low quality social interaction. We were able to switch that out, and then all of her spending adjusted with that shift. So if you want to learn more about changing your spending habits and getting control of your money, watch this video. And if you want to learn more about how my clients changed their financial situations, watch this story.